Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We are from the fund group. Today we are going to explain about a reference. And before explaining the material, let me introduce our member groups. My name is Sakina Simal, and here we have Emil Mailani and Sandir Irfan. Okay. The first material will be delivered by Emil Meliani. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you to moderator. Now I will explain about reference and inference. Reference and inference which is an important component of pragmatics. Jadi, in conversation, there is need a listener and the speakers. Reference as an act by which a speaker or writer uses language to enable a listener or reader to identify something. Jadi, reference ini merupakan sebuah ungkapan yang diungkapkan oleh pembicara atau penulis dan mengacu pada sesuatu atau suatu benda. Biasanya, reference ini menggunakan reverse expression atau device. To perform an act of reference, we can use proper nouns, others noun in phrases, or pronouns. Jadi, untuk mengungkapkan reference ini, kita bisa menggunakan pronoun, proper nouns, or others noun in phrases. The example of reference is I have a new car. Saya memiliki mobil baru. Nah, penjelasan dari contohnya akan saya jelaskan setelah saya menjelaskan definisi dari inference. Okay, next is inference. An inference is additional information used by create a connection between what is said and what is the mean. Jadi, tadi apabila reference ini merupakan sebuah ungkapan yang diungkapkan oleh speakers atau pembicara, berbeda dengan inference. Inference ini merupakan pikiran yang muncul dari si listener atau pendengar. Jadi tadi si reference ini, si speakers ini mengungkapkan I have a new car. Jadi inference-nya adalah image yang keluar, image yang ada di pikiran listener tentang a new car. Apabila successful inference ini berkaitan dengan prior knowledge atau pengetahuan sebelumnya yang dimiliki oleh si listener. Apabila si listener ini tahu bagaimana kondisi mobil baru itu, terus joknya diplastikin, dan apapun yang menyangkut mobil baru itu si listener sudah tahu, maka percakapan antara listener dan speaker ini akan berjalan dengan lancar. Pembahasannya tidak sampai situ saja dan akan nyambung. Berbeda apabila si listener ini tidak memiliki prior knowledge atau pengetahuan sebelumnya tentang new car, bisa jadi misalnya si listener ini belum pernah melihat mobil baru atau belum pernah membeli mobil baru, otomatis kan itu tidak mungkin berjalan dengan lancar percakapannya dan pembahasannya hanya sampai situ saja, hanya sampai listener tahu bahwa si speakers ini memiliki mobil baru, seperti itu. Jadi inference ini image yang muncul di pikiran listener. Biasanya ini mengacu pada ungkapan sebelumnya yang diungkapkan oleh speakers, seperti itu. Next, ini there is example about successful and slightly pilot of inference. Nah, di sini ada 3 komponen: prior knowledge atau pengetahuan sebelumnya, conversation, percakapan, dan remarks. Nah, yang pertama, clear reference plus sufficient prior knowledge. Jadi, reference yang jelas ditambah sudah memiliki prior knowledge atau pengetahuan sebelumnya. A and B know Moon Hotel very well. They stay there when they visit Paris. Jadi, si A dan si B ini tahu tentang Moon Hotel karena mereka sudah berkunjung atau sudah pernah menginap pada waktu mereka mengunjungi Paris. Jadi ini percakapannya. A. Moon Hotel is on sale. B. The one we booked? A. Yup. B. How much? Jadi langsung nyambung karena si A dan si B ini sudah tahu bagaimana kondisinya Moon Hotel, di mana keberadaannya Moon Hotel. Jadi langsung nyambung pembahasannya seperti itu. So conversation flows very well and it is understandable by both parties. Jadi keduanya sangat mengerti tentang pembahasannya seperti itu. Jadi inference-nya sukses. Berbeda dengan clear reference plus insufficient prior knowledge. Jadi si listener ini tidak memiliki pengetahuan sebelumnya tentang Moon Hotel. Contohnya, A knows Moon Hotel in Paris very well because she stayed there last year. And B knows Moon Hotel only from advertisement and she never stayed there. Jadi si A pernah menginap di Moon Hotel dan tahu tentang Moon Hotel, sedangkan si B atau listenernya hanya tahu dari iklan saja dan tidak pernah mengunjungi hotel tersebut. Jadi conversation-nya otomatis bakal tidak nyambung. Contohnya, A. Moon Hotel is on sale. B. What hotel? Si B ini kebingungan hotel yang mana gitu. A. The Moon Hotel in Paris. Don't you know that? Terus responnya, oh, yeah, I have ever heard about this hotel in advertisement. Jadi si B ini tidak nyambung pembahasannya karena belum pernah mengunjungi Moon Hotel. Jadi tidak ada prior knowledge about Moon Hotel. Jadi inference highly failed. Conversation does not flow smoothly enough because the listener needs to infer harder using her insufficient from prior knowledge only from advertisement. That's all for me. I'll bring back to moderator.
Okay, thank you, Email Mailani. And the next material will be delivered by me. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Okay. Anaphora. Anaphora dia merujuk kepada kata-kata sebelumnya. Nah, di sini contoh, he saw a funny home video about a boy washing a puppy in a small bath. The puppy started sparkling and shaking. The boy got really wet. When he let go, he jumped out of the bath and ran away. In this type of referential relationship, the second or subsequent referring expressions in an example of anaphora referring back. The first mention is called the antecedent. So, in our example, a boy, a puppy, and a small bath are antecedent, and the puppy, the boy, he, it, and the bath are anaphoric expression. Anaphora can be defined as subsequent reference to an already introduced entity. Must we use anaphora in text to maintain reference? Nah, di sini maksudnya seperti apa? Dalam tipe hubungan antara referensi itu ada dua jenis di sini. Yang pertama itu merupakan anaphora, di mana dia merujuk kembali gitu kepada kata-kata sebelumnya. Nah, contohnya itu the puppy di sini merujuk kepada kata puppy. Terus ada juga kata the boy di sini merujuk kembali kepada a boy. Nah, yang kedua itu ada juga yang disebut dengan antecedent. Antecedent itu merupakan kata
yang lebih dulu disebutkan. Misalnya nih, dalam kalimat we saw a funny home video about a boy washing a puppy in a small bar. The puppy starts struggling and shaking, and the boy got really wet. Nah, a puppy di sini merupakan kata yang pertama kali disebutkan sebelum anaforik, yaitu puppy. Nah, jadi puppy di sini merupakan antecedent. Nah, the connections between an antecedent and anaphoric expressions is created by use of a pronoun, for example, like it, or phrases with the plus the antecedent noun. For example, the puppy, or another noun that is related to the antecedent is in some way. For example, like the little dog ran out of the room. Nah, di sini ada 3 ya koneksi antara antecedent dengan anaphoric expressions. Yang pertama itu pronoun kata ganti bisa berupa it, they, semua jenis kata ganti. Nah, kalau dalam contoh sebelumnya itu antecedent yang menggunakan pronoun di sini yaitu it merujuk kepada the puppy ya, yang pertama. Nah, terus berupa phrase yang dimana sebelumnya itu ada kata antecedent yang ditambahkan dengan kata the. Misalnya nih, the puppy. Puppy di sini kan merupakan antecedent yang ditambahkan dengan kata the. Nah, selanjutnya ada juga another noun that is related to the antecedent. For example, like the little dog ran out of the room. Jadi anjing yang berlarian dalam ruangan gitu. Nah, the connection between antecedent and anaphoric expressions is often based on inference, as in this example. But the kitchen was very small. The second example, I got a bus and asked the driver if it went near the downtown area. In the first example, we must make an inference like if X is a house, then X has a kitchen. In order to interpret the connection between a house and anaphoric expression, the kitchen, in the second example, I got a bus and asked the driver if it went near the downtown area. We must make an inference like if X is a bus, then X has a driver. In order to make the connection between a bus and the driver, we have used the term inference here to describe what the listener or reader does when we talk about an assumptions made by the speaker or writer. We usually talk about presuppositions. That's all for me. And the next material will be presented by Sandy Irfan. Time is yours.
Next slide.
Record.
Berubah. Nah, itu. Okay, thank you, moderator. Now I am going to explain about presupposition. What is preposition and how to use it and what kind of example of them. Okay, presupposition is what a speaker or writer assume is true or known by a listener or reader. Jadi presupposition itu adalah asumsi dari si listener atau pendengar. For example, if someone your brother is waiting outside, there is an obvious presumption that I have a brother. Another example in Indonesia, jika ada orang yang bertanya pada saya, misalnya, kenapa kamu telat? Kita bisa melihat ada preposition di mana yaitu datang telat. And then another example of presupposition. If someone asks me a question like, why did you stop smoking? There are at least two propositions involved. The first one is the speaker presuppose that I am a smoker, and then in the second one, I am no longer to do so, or I'm no longer a smoker. Dan juga preposition itu biasanya digunakan atau sangat berguna untuk pada saat interogasi atau pada saat sidang. Biasanya dipakai saat itu. Next slide. One of the tests used to check a preposition underlying sentence impulse, negating a sentence with particular preposition and checking if the preposition remain true. Whether you say my car is wrecked or negative presence, my car is not wrecked. The underlying prepositions I have a car remains true despite the fact that the two sentences have opposite meanings. This is called the constancy under negotiations. That's for identifying presuppositions. If someone says, I used to regret marrying him, but I don't regret marrying him now, the prepositions I marry him remains constant, even though the verb regret change for affirmative to negative. Next slide, please. Okay, now I am gonna tell you the summary article that I have been collected. The title of the article is Presuppositions, a Semantic or Pragmatic Phenomenon. The summary of the article is there has been a debate among linguistics with regard to semantic view, the pragmatic view of the presuppositions. Some scholars believe the presupposition is purely semantic, and others believe that is purely pragmatic. The present paper contribute the ongoing debate and express the different ways presuppositions was approached by linguists. The paper also tries to attain the first one, what semantic is and what pragmatic is in unified theory of meaning, and then the possibility to outline the semantic account of presuppositions without having recourse of pragmatic and vice versa. The paper advocates Gazar analysis, a pragmatic analysis, as the safest ground on which working grammar of prepositions could be outlined. It shows how semantic accounts are inadequate to deal with the projection problem. And finally, the paper states explicitly that the increasingly puzzling theoretical status of the preposition seems to confirm the philosophical contentions that not any fact can be translated into words. Next slide. And then the conclusion of the summary article is that they have considered briefly all kind of presuppositions definition linguistic put forward in 70s, semantic, pragmatic, and syntactic using Gazar model of evidence. And they have illustrated how the Gazar use implicate to cancel prepositions, which qualifies his analysis to achieve reasonably accurate predictions of prepositions. And however, how to draw a clear out distinction between the two sides is the puzzling question pending of the further research. This implies that there is much more prepositions that this paper has been able to expose. That's it from me. Thank you, and I'll be moving to moderator.
Okay, thank you, Sandir Irfan. That's all from our presentation. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.